Alright, hello everyone, and welcome back to Wargame Red Dragon. Today we have a 2v2, and I'm playing as the Dutch, while my ally Grim, recently promoted to second lieutenant, so Mazel Tov, is playing as the Dutch-German coalition. So we can see that in the PWI transports, but also in the Martyr 1A3s that are of German design. Now, he's headed toward Foxtrot and Bravo, while I'm trying to go up and cap and secure Delta, while pushing some forces into Charlie to prevent our opponents from doing the same there. Because, of course, on this map, Delta and Charlie, being the farther away wings, I suppose, are of course worth more points per second. This is a conquest game, not a destruction game, so map control is, well, the name of the game, as it were. So, first contact here, joined by Grim Reaper against Hepgoat, who is playing, I believe, as... Yep, that looks like China, so probably Red Dragons as a Chinese national deck is a little bit unusual. I think the Korshan, yep, that is North Korea. So there's a pretty nice placement there with Parmelons and Leopards fighting in the woods. A little bit of a cautious deployment in Bravo, but I've now capped Delta over here on the right-hand side, and we're starting to get some infantry and paratroopers around, so of course, SASF snipers in Oryxes, as well as, I believe, these were just special forces. Headed over that way, I also have an XH1 Alpha to scout and a Ruavolk, and I had anticipated seeing some sort of opposition here, but it doesn't look like that's in the cards. So we do spot a BRDM-2U. Now, this is a 120-point command vehicle, not the sort of thing you want to be sending out on its own and without any sort of forward element. So I was suspicious, but, you know, I thought, well, let's just see if we can get a kill on it with the XH1 Alpha. And it does actually, yeah, so killed by the 1 Alpha right before the Ruavolk's missile is able to get there, so nice fiery explosion of doom to start off the match there. And that's, I mean, that's 120 points, right? That's not exactly small. In the meantime, T-Goose here, who I had expected to go up toward Charlie and Delta, is fighting in Bravo, so Grim is currently fighting against both of our opponents, basically, without assistance, and they're being really cagey for it, too. So this whole thing just goes to show sometimes aggression is very much key, because, I mean, Grim is going to be able to consolidate here a little bit as points trickle in. I'm going to be able to consolidate Delta and Charlie basically without opposition, and then try to support my ally here in Bravo as well. We spot a couple of OSA AKs, and those aren't necessarily my favorite. I think the cheaper OSAs are probably better for Russia, particularly in competitive play. Not that I am exactly an expert on that sort of thing. Martyr 1A3s, meanwhile, opening up with their Milan F2 missiles, and the Skreget is going to have a little bit of trouble with that, assuming we can keep line of sight, which we do, but that's a lot of swings and a lot of misses. In the meantime, we have an AH-64 escort going over to the western side, my own XH-1 Alpha just providing a little bit of backup scouting here, as I was a little bit concerned with something coming around our flank. I've done it to people, I've had it done to me before, it certainly isn't a lot of fun. In the meantime, Rothel 20s and Bocop are just defending the Commandant, and combined with the SAF Sniper and our Stranglehold on Charlie, I wasn't too concerned about things coming down that way. But BTR-70s are trying to move up the center, so I have Ruakots trying to cut them off, and Skregets going up will cause trouble for the XH-1 Alpha. But we are able to get some nice supporting fire from the YPRs between them and the Ruakots. Those BTR-70s are going to have a rough time of things. Puma 330H just moving forward just to see if there's anything AA, and there is, so he will probably be going, oh, no, that was an ATGM. My apologies there, that was rather unpleasant. Buccaneer comes in, does get one of the Skregets, and probably the infantry inside, but that second shot was a bit of a miss, and I order evac before he can come back around, because that would be an opportune time to lose it to some sort of ASF. In the meantime, we do have a command vehicle coming in from Hepgoat, probably headed toward Echo, but we've been taking out a +2 for a while, and that's going to be a challenge for our opponents. So there was a mark there, as well as my helicopter did go down. That's just the XH-1 Alpha, though, as my Ruavolk has wisely retreated from anything having to do with enemy Skregets. Bravo has been capped, Echo has been capped, and now it is 0-0 in terms of ticking points. But VDV are struggling, going up against Grenadiers, but also Duckensgruppe, which, I mean, they're severely panicked from this scoring fire from the T-80. That's kind of to be expected a little bit, and we rediscover the Skreget moving through the forest here, and Oryx trying to just get out of the way, but maybe not able to quite do it. And Caspeter K-Cars are going to be moving over with that excellent autocannon of theirs, the HS-404. I know it's not exactly the most high-performing autocannon out there, but it might be enough to get the job done, particularly if the Skregets are distracted and our Caspiers are stunned, but very little damage done to them, and the Skreget only has a single pip of strength left. Meanwhile, An Akula coming in does kill my Puma 330H, and I lost a cluster bomber that I had sent over to kill this T-80. I'm really not liking cluster bombers. I have liked them before, but I mean, come on, it's a T-80. It's a 65-point tank. You can't kill that. You're not worth your salt as a cluster bomber. VDV, meanwhile, getting killed by Casper K-Car, and the SASF is able to open up finally 1, 2 missiles into that Akula, and down it goes. About 150 or so point kill for us there. In the meantime, Grim is holding on somehow in Echo, so he has Parmalones, he has a couple Deckens Group, Martyrs, Huzao Ren. This position probably could have been pushed by the enemy, well, a lot earlier, and they probably would have been fine with it, because I think still both of them are putting their points into Echo and Bravo, although admittedly T-Goose is trying to do something about their problem with Charlie, but SASF moving out of the way so they aren't in fact hit by that, well, I guess, decent attempt at mortar fire. Block 15 OCU unfortunately being stunned, but my own Carver does come in and take down... Ooh, does he? I thought he did. Damn, 1, 2, 3, 4 missiles on the way and 4 misses, so my Carver not having a good day there exactly, but I am getting infantry reinforcements and Rothwell 20s on the ground, trying to bring more bodies into Charlie and into the northern side of the map to really just prevent our opponents from breaking out of that stranglehold. We will need to cap Foxtrot. It would be nice to contest Bravo, but we do find an enemy Z9A. It goes down with help from a KWS, but if he has dropped infantry, that will be a problem for us later on, so it's a good thing to have the bow and the XH-1 Alpha scouting in that region. So, I mean, this is the thing. It's way easier. This is why motorized decks are so good, right? It's way easier to get to a position at the start of the game than to take it from an entrenched opponent. And now I have a Puma 330H coming out. We're going to try and cap Charlie. It's a little ambitious, or was this guy headed over? Yes, he is headed over to Charlie. And as soon as I do that, in order to, I mean, they'd have to counter cap us, or they'd have to just push us out in order to get it. Buccaneer does come in, unfortunately only hits with his 3rd missile, which means that he is going to be taking a shot from some sort of radar AA, second shot on the way, and the Buccaneer goes down. A little bit unfortunate there. If I'd landed the first missile, might have been able to get out. But, you know, down-bedded Buccaneer just so I can have better availability, and you do sort of pay that price a little bit. In the meantime, Mech-Inf and Mech-Inf headed in Rental 20s, and these guys, I mean, this was a little bit bold, I guess I should say, but a Ruakat CA-35 also just trying to protect against helicopters and planes in the mid-ground, and we are sort of fleshing out defenses a little bit. Charlie does tend to be a bit of an infantry grind from my own experience with it, but I wanted a couple more bodies there because SASF are not the best woods fighters against other infantry, right? So there's no tertiary. I don't really have IFVs to back them up because, of course, they were dropped in on Oryx helicopters, which means there weren't any vehicles on the ground, so the only things I have there are the Ratzel 20s, now only just a single pair left over, as the other did charge a little bit stupidly forward into that gap. But I was thinking, you know, hey, maybe it could work, and I paid the price. Caspier BV coming out, and this was an ambitious cap because, again, just a couple units holding this. We're going to switch, pardon the tap as I am changing the view, but we're going to switch to neutral. Look at this. So many infantry, Zanshi, ZSDs, Jogoste, I can't say that, but anyway, look at the amounts of stuff here. The Red 4 players should have pushed, would have been able to burn right through those Huzaren, right through the Deckensgruppe. I mean, before those Leopards came out, this would have been just an absolute massacre, and then we would have been denied Foxtrot. We would have been fighting in the woods here, trying to keep them away from our home zone, really, really close to it, and now that opportunity is lost, and it really shouldn't have been. So, going back to my own perspective, again, we do have an infantry fight going down in the forest, Mech-Inf using those LRACs to take out a fair number of infantry fighting vehicles, but now just skirmishing with Morskaya Pechota, so I am running them backward through the woods, trying to get them out of there as I'm bringing Rattle 20s around, and I think also the Mech-Inf from the other side. We do, however, spot and have Howitzer Fire coming in against a BRDM 2U. This is another one of those 120-point command vehicles that's is relatively vulnerable, and we can see there it either moved or died, and let's see, yep, it did in fact die to Howitzer Fire. So another unfortunate happenstance for our opponent, and with us, you know, capping Charlie, uncapping their Bravo, and then capping Foxtrot, that's going to be a +4 for the Blue 4 team, and it's going to be a really, really bad day for our opponent. So in the meantime, Rattle 20s and Mech-Inf catch these Morskaya Pechota in a bit of a crossfire, and look at those men get shot there. So of course Morskaya Pechota do have that 15 starting strength, so 3 squads should have been at 45 strength. in this wild charge, they've killed a single man of my mech inf brigade, I suppose, and now with the Ratzel 20 fire and persistent fire from other angles, I mean, they're just getting munched through. So the Ratzel 20 is going to be retargeted at the BTR-80A, and the Ruavolk also opening up with those Ingwe missiles, trying to take him down, because the BTR-80A would be a challenge for the Ratzel 20. Morske Pechota down to a single group, and they're stunned, panicked. This is not where you want to be. In the meantime, I lost 4 individual soldiers from a single group of mech inf. So, I mean, hey, we retreated, we got a nice firing concave, it worked out pretty well. Ruakot 76 back here to give scouting, but not really able to see all that much, not exactly phenomenal optics there. And that's ZTQ scout tank does get a little bit of fire on some of the Dutch troops in this region. We also have J8Cs coming in. Now, these are ASFs, but they're going after the escort and the bow. So a bit of a dive there, and I mean, it could very well pay off, but now the Carver's coming in, and we do get one of them down. My Carver is injured, J8C is on his tail, but let's see if we can get out, and yes, just barely. So an SU-27 SK also coming in, trying to help that, but now a Hawk Hios opening up, and let's see, 1, 2, 3 shots, 3 misses, and that's going to be all the ammunition off the Hawk Hios. So a bit of a bum roll there. Of course, this one does look like it's down-vetted, depending on the deck. I'm not entirely sure. It should be hardened or veteran. You know, no, that's hardened. It should be up-vetted off basic unspec availability. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments if you would. Another 27 SK coming in, and this is a sort of unfortunate timing for the KWS as he was turning around. Not quite ready to open fire, but here it is, missiles online, but a little too late as the 27 SK does come in. Block 15 and Carver will give answer though, and Carver gets the kill. So nice kill there, MiG-31M, and now we're just in, I mean, jeez, this guy is he's the Mongo range, you know, 12,600 meter range, and unfortunately the Block 15 I think does get killed. Yep, down it goes through the sky, crashing to the ground there, a little unfortunate, but my own Carver does get out, so I'm very happy with that. Meanwhile, the OSA AKs are spotted and killed by Milan teams, and I'm starting to get my Rover 107s. These guys, they're not good. You shouldn't use them. They're just bad. But they are entertaining, so I was trying to get them online just to burn out some enemy positions. And, you know, in concert with combined arms, you can actually get some pretty good work done, because they'll force people out of forests and into open ground, which means that then they can be spotted, shot to pieces, and, well, so much the better. So now here finally is a really late push into Foxtrot. Of course, now Grim has a much better stranglehold on this with YPRs and Stuttruppen. We also have reinforcements with Martyr 1A3s, Leopard 1.5s in the woods as well, and I mean, you can see, I don't think Hepgoat really wanted to commit here, and that is going to cost him the game. So Rover's opening up, and look at all of that napalm. So just going after wherever I thought there was anything at all, and they don't get any kills with this, but look at that fire. Probably a better use would have been this region to force people out into the open, or in the town here in Echo to allow my allies' fire support to open up from Foxtrot and get a couple kills that way. But we did scare off the Podnos. It was just a little bit of weapons testing as well. I wanted to see, can these guys get anything done, even firing in a concentrated position? And the answer is really no. So now we do have other Red 4 vehicles moving up. Mechinf are going to be returning that, and an LRAC immediately takes down one of these cheap empty LBVs. The infantry was already unloaded, and that is going to be a problem as all of those guns are opening up. My Mechinf sort of fighting for their last breath, and I was not able to resupply them, so that is going to be a problem for there. T-72B coming in, and I think a Carver does take down an enemy plane, so that was pretty nice. Ruvalk's going to open up, and this just absolutely killed me, so let's count the missiles. One, granted he was moving, so that's going to be off the stabilizer, but it's still a 50-50 chance. Now he's sitting still, 70% chance to hit, well, 85 off of veterancy, and that's the second miss. Let's see, third missile on the way, and third, no, okay, we do get a hit there. Very nice, just not a kill, and there is something else coming up as well. So, this is, I believe, an enemy Akula, AA fire opening up, hitting my Ruvalk, and I immediately start to move him back. But the Akula, as it turns out, was out of Iglas, and that was a fatal mistake. He does get within range of the Ruvalk, and that's one missile on the way, one hit, second missile on the way, second hit, the Akula goes down. So he had spent those Iglas killing some of my Oryxes earlier on, and was never resupplied, and because of that, lost a fight that he very much should have won. Unfortunately, the T-72BU is still online, Motostrelki quad stack, moving into the woods with MTLBVs in support as well, so I am trying to answer with Mechinf and SASF. It will be a little overwhelming there, and we have another MiG-31M coming in and just sparring with some of Grimm's stuff in the air. at that point. So howitzer round shells coming in, and will be hitting a fair number of the monostroke. Let's see, 10 men killed in a single shot. That pretty much does save my mech inf a lot of pain, as that last MTLBV is pretty far back. Another good couple kills there off the howitzer, and I mean, hey, artillery support really going to work for us pretty well here right now. In the meantime, Grim is finally pushing up into this sort of gap, and we've closed that off pretty much completely, maintaining a +4 this entire time as Bravo has not been resecured by the Red 4 team, and that T-72B, already pretty damaged, is going to be taking an LRAC to the face, although, oh no, I forgot to turn off my FN mag, so not quite. I thought I did at some point. Yep, there it is. And the T-72B goes down. So just Monostroke left, and that will pretty much be it for our opponents, as the Rover 107s do open up once again, now finally firing into a reasonable target here in the town. A fair amount of damage done there when I did switch to neutral earlier, but that's going to be all. So let's take a look at the kills and losses. So for the Blue 4 team, that was me and Grim. We have 2,125 points in kills, 1,355 points in losses, and of course we did win by getting to 500, more accurately 503, to the 4 conquest points from our opponents. In terms of performance, T-Goose really struggled. He and I were fighting over in the woods on that other side for a while. This is going to be the loss of a couple of Kulas, and I believe also a couple fighters in the air. Hepgoat, meanwhile, was the one who was sparring with Grim, and he had a slight positive kills losses, but he never actually managed to get map control, despite, you know, he and T-Goose having, for a little while at least at the beginning of the match, a 2v1 situation against Grim, had they so wanted it. So, always be aggressive when your opponent is, well, just always be aggressive. It's usually a good thing. If it's not, you can always try and consolidate later on, but if you never try to push, particularly on Conquest games, you're never going to take the ground, and unfortunately, well, taking the ground is just the name of the game. So that's all we've got for you guys today. Thank you all for hanging around. We'll see you again real soon.